So when I'm talking to clients, they often are asking me, okay, help me envision what's going to be going on 5 or 10 or 20 years down, because they're putting in millions and millions of dollars, and they want to have a long-term arc of their business. And first of all, I tell them that nobody's got a crystal ball, and thinking that anybody knows what this chaos is going to look like in 10 or 20 years, they're overcharging you for their consulting, right? Whoever it is. But at the same time, we all do need to think about this. And two things that will radically change the oil market when it happens will be the allowing of interstate commerce in the U.S. It's just a matter of time before that happens. And so a lot of these states that are becoming legal now, they've got these really nice oil grows and manufacturing setups, and they're great, but their margins are their cost of doing business is really high, right? Because of where they live or their weather or whatever. But then as soon as people are allowed to ship over state lines, suddenly California and the southern part of the country are going to be producing these same products with a very low cost of business, and then wait until international gets involved, and Mexico can grow this beautiful flower, organic certified if they choose to, process all the oil down there with like world class, and then just ship up drums of oil, and that's just going to crush, like for example, the edibles market, right? Where the it's not artisan dab oil, it's more of a commoditized oil. So I know that you give good advice to people both here in the U.S. and around the world. So what are you telling the people who seek your advice about how to think about those two barriers, interstate and then national barriers coming down, as far as setting up local businesses to provide oil?
That's a good question, because it's economy of scale. And if they start to be able to pull like CBD-derived terps out of hemp, and then with plant-infused terpene infusions, all of a sudden you're really able to make it a very simple method to create some of these lower quality oil packages. And the question is, over the next 20 years, will you be able to develop a new group of people, new consumers, who want to consume the products that are grown in their region, where they're more aware of locally produced products? That's basically to me, the fundamental about organic ag, is that if you're really looking at it, part of the organic nature of it is it isn't being trucked across 7 states to get to your house.
Right.
So it's hard to say you're an environmental advocate when you're having stuff shipped in globally into your neighborhood. And so it's trying to create the awareness that you want to have local products, local goods, because they should be cheaper unless we're so inefficient in our production. And you allow the places that do bulk oil production to do bulk oil production, and you focus on what you're supposed to focus on. And that's really the reality of ag. So Humboldt has problems because we don't have a lot of flat ground. And so there's really not a lot of prime soil. There's not a lot of flat ground, so it doesn't allow us to do massive Central Valley type farming operations. But what we have is a tremendous amount of clean air and untoxic regions, because we don't have all these other industries contaminating. And so that's the problem that you're seeing in all these massive agricultural areas, is cross-contamination. So they have to create these positive pressure greenhouses to expel any air that's coming out. Anything's coming in is coming in through massive filtration systems. Well, that has to be cost. And so it starts to become so expensive to create products in areas that were ag regions, because cannabis is being regulated at a degree that no ag product ever has been regulated. And so you can't really grow cannabis in the wineries that well, because you have so much mycobutranol applied for all the grapes. You can't use cannabis in the Central Valley to the same degree. If you take a look how many of these failures are coming from the Central Valley, even the larger organizations, they're having to remodel the entire greenhouse ranges. Once they get all that in, it's still unbelievably expensive infrastructure to provide. And as we go forward, does the consumer become educated enough to realize that that's industrial cannabis? When they want to buy cannabis, are they going to look at it like wine at some point, where there's many gradients of quality? Right now it's confusing. It's just a price in a store. But as people start to become more aware, and I believe that the youth that are coming in are very cognizant about these facts, because they've been bombarded with it since their childhood. They didn't get the same advertising we did, that it's, hey, don't worry about it. These products are good for you. Fluoride is great for your teeth. You should get as much as you can in your body. Now that you know it's a neurotoxin, it changes how you perceive these products. And I think that for a lot of the smaller places that have such a risk, it's trying to create zones of enjoyment where people who really are about the culture and the quality can know to source their products and buy them. And that's really over time of educating the customer. So the customer education has to happen, and all we've done is educate them that cheaper, more hot numbers, more frosty, better pictures on Instagram are what you want. And that has absolutely nothing to do with reality. And I think it's the ability to get people to understand the reality of that these ugly tomatoes that they won't sell at the store are the exact ones you want to cut up and eat on your sandwich, and that's why farmers markets sell them. And hopefully the new generation is able to make these decisions and say, look, if I want to consume cannabis, I'd like to consume it from craft regions where the environmental impact is low, where the farmers are known, and I'm at a fair price. The problem is you're trying to get people to pay higher prices for this extra effort, and you have a population of people globally that buy cannabis that really aren't cash rich, so their disposable income is less. And that's global. If you look at the global situation, so the 1% can afford to buy what they want, but they're not the cannabis consumers. It's everyone below them. And so it's trying to be able to figure out how do the farmers get themselves into very specific niches of acknowledgement, where people recognize their products, they recognize the region, they recognize the farmer, and they recognize that they're fairly priced. And that starts to allow you to be competitive. And as these products start to move across the borders, then all other high-level products, small niche products, move across borders too. And so why wouldn't we be able to move our products across these borders and allow the cheaper products to come in to allow people who have a less price point get cannabis enjoyment?
Yep.
Because it's not about taxing people to death, it's to create a gradient where the poorest person can afford the product, the richest person can afford a product, and they may get different products in terms of the fine qualities, but fundamentally the poorest person still has an edible quality product where there's no toxins, no contaminants, and it gives them the effect they desire. And the upper echelon is subtleties that you have to basically develop a palate for to even appreciate it.
Yeah.
And once we can do that and educate it, and so really to me this is a 20-year cycle. And that's the part that's so scary, is that can we survive 20 years?
Yeah.
You know?
Right on. Cool. Thank you.